Okay, I don't like to edit, so I'm trying to hurry up. Started clapping already. At my lunch break, we're gonna read chapter 2. I said here, it might not be a good area. There's bugs, but there's a lot of flowers in my background, so I wanted that to be there. We're gonna read chapter 2, The Loss of Innocence. The sun is like beaming, but I really like the spot. You can't even see the flowers. I'm in the back of the flowers. Okay. Mother hacker. If I go that, you can see the flowers. Okay. Ooh. The sun is sunning. Okay. Second chapter of The Mastery of Love. The Loss of Innocence. Humans by nature are very sensitive beings. We are so emotional because we perceive everything with the emotional body. The emotional body is like a radio that can be tuned to perceive certain frequencies or to react to certain frequencies. The normal frequency, the planes. Okay, let me come closer. Okay. Chapter 2, The Loss of Innocence. Humans by nature are very sensitive beings. We are so emotional because we perceive everything with the emotional body. The emotional body is like a radio that can be tuned to perceive certain frequencies or react to certain frequencies. The normal frequency of humans before domestication is to explore and enjoy life. We are tuned to love. As children, we don't have any definition of love as an abstract concept. We just live love. It's the way we are. The emotional body has a component like an alarm system to let us know when something is wrong. It is the same with the physical body. It has an alarm system to let us know something is wrong with our body. We call this pain. When we feel pain, it is because there's something wrong with the body that we have to look at and fix. The alarm system for the emotional body is fear. When we feel fear, it's because there's something wrong. Perhaps we are in danger of losing our life. The emotional body perceives emotions, but not through the eyes. We perceive emotions through our emotional body. Children just feel emotions, and their reasoning mind doesn't interpret or question them. Okay. The emotional body perceives emotions, but not through the eyes. We perceive emotions through our emotional body. Children just feel emotions, and their reasoning mind doesn't interpret or question them. This is why children accept certain people and reject other people. When they don't feel confident around someone, they reject that person because they can feel the emotions that person is projecting. Children can easily perceive when someone is angry, and their alarm system generates a little fear that says stay away. And they follow their instincts, that they stay away. They learn to be emotional according to the emotional energy in our home. We learn to be emotional according to the emotional energy in our home and our personal reaction to that energy. That is why every brother or sister will react differently according to how they learn to defend themselves and adapt different circumstances. When our parents are constantly fighting, when there is disharmony, disrespect, and lies, we learn the emotional way of being like them. Even if they tell us not to be that way and not to lie, the emotional energy of our parents and our entire family will make us perceive the world in a similar way. The emotional energy that lives in our home is going to tune our emotional body to that frequency. The emotional body starts to change in tune, and it is no longer the normal tune of the human being. We play the game of the adults. We play the game of the outside dream, and we lose. We lose our innocence. We lose our freedom. We lose our happiness, and we lose our tendency to love. We are forced to change and we start perceiving another world, another reality, the reality of injustice, the reality of emotional pain, the reality of emotional poison. Welcome to hell. Welcome to hell. The hell that humans create, which is the dream of the planet. We are welcomed into that hell, but we don't invent it personally. It was here before we were born. You can see how real love and freedom are destroyed by looking at children. Imagine a child 2 or 3 years old, running and having fun in the park. Mom is there watching the little guy, and she's afraid he might fall and hurt himself. At a certain point, she wants to stop him, and the child thinks mom is playing with him, so he tries to run faster from her. Cars are passing the street nearby, which makes mom even more afraid, and finally she catches him. The child is expecting her to play, but she spanks him. Boom, it's a shock. The child's happiness was the expression of love coming out of him, and it does not understand why she is acting this way. That is a shock that stopped the little boy by little over time. Little by little over time. The child does not understand words, but even so, he can question why. That hit, because parents gotta talk more before they get upset. Like, children don't know until you teach them. Running and playing is an expression of love, but is no longer safe because, with that situation, they continue by saying, running and playing is an expression of love, but it's no longer safe because your parents punish you when you express your love. They send you to your room and you cannot do what you want to do. They tell you that you are being a bad boy or a bad girl, and that puts you down. That means punishment. In that system of reward and punishment, there's a sense of justice and injustice. What is fear and what is not fear? The sense of injustice is like a knife that opens an emotional wound in the mind. Then, according to our reaction to an injustice, the wound may get infected with emotional poison. Oh. The sense of injustice is like a knife that opens an emotional wound in the mind. Then, according to our reaction to the injustice, the wound may get infected with emotional poison. Why do some wounds get infected? Let's look at another example. Imagine that you are 2 to 3 years old. You are happy, you are playing, you are exploring. You aren't conscious of what is good, what is bad, what is right, what is wrong, what you should be doing, what you shouldn't be doing, because you are not yet domesticated. You are playing in the living room with whatever is around you. You don't have any bad intentions, you don't try to hurt anything, but you are playing with your daddy's guitar. For you, it's just a toy. You don't try to hurt your daddy at all, but your father is having one of those days when he doesn't feel right. He has problems in his business, and he goes into the living room and finds you playing with his things. He gets mad right away, and he grabs you and spanks you. Aww. This is injustice from your point of view. Your father just comes, and with anger, he hurts you. This was someone you trusted completely because he is your daddy. Someone who usually protects you and allows you to play and allows you to be you. Now there is something that doesn't quite fit. The sense of injustice is like a pain in your heart. You feel sensitive, it hurts and makes you cry. But you cry not just because he spanks you. It's not the physical aggression that hurts you. It's the emotional aggression you feel is not fear. You didn't do anything. The sense of injustice opens a wound in your mind. Your emotional body is wounded, and in that moment you lose a little part of your innocence. You learn that you cannot always trust your father. Even if your mind doesn't know that yet. Because your mind doesn't analyze, it still understands. I cannot trust. Your emotional body tells you that there's something that you cannot trust, and that something can be repeated. Your reaction might be fear, your reaction might be anger, or being shy, or just crying. But these reactions are already emotional poison. There are baby spiders all over my blanket. I don't want to kill you. But the reaction is already emotional poison, because the normal reaction before domestication is that your daddy spanks you and you want to hit him back. You hit him back, or wait, did I skip something? Your reaction might be fear, your reaction might be anger, or being shy, or just crying. But that reaction is already emotional poison, because the normal reaction before domestication is that your daddy spanks you and you want to hit him back. You hit him back, or just intend to put your hand up, and that tells your father that makes your father even madder at you. The reaction of your father for just putting your hand up against him creates a worse punishment. Now you know he will destroy you. Now you are afraid of him, and you no longer defend yourself because you know it will only make things worse. You still don't understand why, but you know your father can even kill you. This opens a fierce wound in your mind. Before this, your mind was completely healthy. You were completely innocent. After this, the reasoning mind tries to do something with the experience. You learn to react in a certain way, your personal way. You keep that emotion with you, and it changes your way of life. This experience will repeat itself more often now. The injustice will come from mom and dad, the brothers and sisters, from aunts and uncles, from the school, from society. from everyone. With each fear, you learn to defend yourself, but not the way you did before domestication. When you would defend yourself and just keep playing. Now there's something inside the wound that at first is not a big problem, emotional poison. The emotional poison accumulates and the mind begins to play with that poison. Now we start to worry a little about the future because we have the memory of the poison and we don't want that to happen again. We also have memories of being accepted. We remember mom and dad being good to us and living in harmony. We want the harmony, but we don't know how to create it. And because we are inside of a bubble, and because we are inside of the bubble of our own perception, whatever happens around us now seems as if it is because of us. We believe mom and dad, ouch. We believe mom and dad fight because of us, even if it doesn't have anything to do with us. Little by little, we lose our innocence. We start to feel resentment, then we no longer forgive. Over time, these incidents and interactions let us know it's not safe to be who we really are. Of course, this will vary in intensity with each human according to his intelligence and education. It will depend on many things. If you are lucky, the domestication is not that strong. But if you are not so lucky, the domestication can be so strong, the wounds so deep. The domestication can be so strong and the wounds be so deep that you can even be afraid to speak. The result is, oh, I am shy. Shyness is the fear of expressing yourself. You may believe you don't know how to dance or how to sing, but this is just repression of the normal human instinct to express love. Humans use fear to domesticate humans, and our fear increases with each experience of injustice. The sense of injustice is the knife that opens the wound in the emotional body. Emotional poison is created by our reaction to what we consider injustice. Some wounds will heal, others will become infected with more and more poison. Once we are full of emotional poison, we have the need to release it, and we practice releasing the poison by sending it to someone else. How do we do this? By hooking that person's attention. Let's take an example of an ordinary couple. For whatever reason, the wife is mad. She has a lot of emotional poison from an injustice that comes from her husband. The husband is not home, but she remembers that injustice and the poison is growing inside. When the husband comes home, the first thing she wants to do is hook his attention, because once she hooks his attention, all that poison can go to her husband and she can feel the relief. As soon as she tells him how bad he is, how stupid or how unfair he is, that poison she has inside is transferred to the husband. She keeps talking and talking until she gets his attention. The husband finally reacts and gets mad, and she feels better. But now the poison is going through him, and he has to get even. He has to hook her attention and release the poison. But it's not just her poison. It's her poison plus his poison. If you look at this interaction, you will see that they are touching each other's wounds and playing ping pong with emotional poison. The poison keeps growing and growing until someday one of them is going to explode. This is often how humans relate with each other. But hooking the attention, the energy goes from one person to another. The attention is something very powerful in the human mind. Everyone around the world is hunting the attention of others. Everyone around the world is hunting the attention of others all the time. When we capture the attention, we create channels of communication. The dream is transferred, power is transferred, but emotional poison is transferred also. Usually we release the poison with the person we think is responsible for the injustice. But if that person is so powerful that we cannot send it to him, we don't care who we send it to. We send it to the little ones who have no defense against us, and that is how abusive relationships are formed. The people of power abuse the people who have less power because they need to release their emotional poison. We have the need to release the poison, and sometimes we don't want justice. We just want to release. We want peace. That is why humans are hunting power all the time, because the more powerful we are, the easier it is to release the poison of the ones who cannot defend themselves. Of course, we are talking about the relationships in hell. We are talking about the mental disease that exists on this planet. There is no longer. The children are so loud. Oh, I'm so close to this phone. Of course, we are talking about relationships in hell. We are talking about the mental disease that exists on this planet. There is no one to blame for this disease. It is no good or bad. There is no one to blame for this disease. It is not good or bad or right or wrong. It is simply a normal pathology of this disease. No one is guilty of being abusive. Just as people on that imaginary planet are not guilty because their skin is sick. You are not guilty because you have wounds infected with poison. When you are physically sick or injured, you don't blame yourself or feel guilty. Then why feel bad or guilty because your emotional body is sick? Oh, that's right. What is important is to have the awareness that we have this problem. If we have the awareness, we have the opportunity to heal our emotional body, our emotional mind, and stop the suffering. Without the awareness, there's nothing we can do. The only thing we can do is keep suffering from the interactions with other humans, but not just with other humans, the interactions with our own self, because we also touch our own wounds just to be punished. In our mind, we create, 15 minutes to part 12:15. In our mind, we create that part of us that is always judging. The judge is judging everything we do, everything we don't do, everything we feel, everything we don't feel. We are judging ourselves all the time. We are judging everyone else all the time, based on what we believe and based on the sense of justice and injustice. Of course, we find ourselves guilty. We need to be punished. The other part of our mind that receives the judgment. Of course, we find ourselves guilty and we need to be punished. The other part of our mind that receives the judgment and has the need to be punished is the victim. The part of us says, "Poor me. I'm not good enough. I'm not strong enough. I'm not intelligent enough. Why should I try?" When you were a child, you could not choose what to believe or what not to believe. The judge and the victim are based on all of those false beliefs you didn't choose. Whew, it is hot. Whew. Okay, I gotta readjust. Okay, that's just the end. When that information went into your mind, you were innocent. You believed everything the belief system was put inside you. Look, that was a period there. When that information went into your mind, you were innocent. You believed everything. The belief system was put inside you like a program, but the outside dream. The Talks taught this program, the parasite. The human mind is sick because it has the parasite that steals. The Talks call this program the parasite. The human mind is sick because it has the parasite that steals its vital energy and robs it of its joy. The parasite is all of those beliefs that make you suffer. Those beliefs are so strong that years later, when you learn new concepts and try to make your own decisions, you find those beliefs still control your life. Sometimes the little child inside you comes out, the real you that stays at the age of 2 or 3 years old. You are living in the moment and having fun, but there is something pulling you back. Something inside feels unworthy of having too much fun. The inner voice tells you that your happiness is too good to be true. It isn't right to be too happy. All the guilt, all the blame, all the emotional poison in your emotional body keeps pulling you back into the world of drama. The parasite, oh my gosh, these bugs are small. The parasite spreads like a disease from our grandparents to our parents to ourselves, and then we give it to our own children. We put all those programs inside our children the same way we train a dog. Humans are domesticated animals, and this domestication leads us into the dream of hell where we live in fear. The food of the parasite is the emotion that comes from fear. Before we get the parasite, we enjoy life. We play, we are happy like little children. But after that garbage is put into our minds, we are no longer happy. We learn to be right and to make everyone else wrong. We need to be right in the resolve trying to protect the image we want to project to the outside. We have to impose our way of thinking, not just into other humans, but even upon ourselves. With awareness, we can easily understand why relationships don't work. With our parents, with our children, with our friends, with our parents, and even with ourselves. Why doesn't the relationship with ourselves work? Because we are wounded and we all have that emotional poison that we can hardly handle. We are full of poison because we grow up with the image of perfection. That is not true, which does not exist, and it's in our mind. It isn't fair. We have seen how we create the image of perfection to please other people, even though they create their own dream that has nothing to do with us. We tried to please mom and dad. We tried to please our teachers, our ministers, our religion, and God. But the truth is that from that point of view, we are never going to be perfect. The image of perfection tells us... My phone overheated. New location. The image of perfection tells us how we should be in order to acknowledge that we are good. In order to accept ourselves, but guess what? Wait. The image of perfection tells us how we should be in order to acknowledge that we are good. In order to accept ourselves. But guess what? This is the biggest lie we believe about ourselves, because we are never going to be perfect. And there is no way that we can forgive ourselves for not being perfect. That image of perfection changes the way we dream. We learn to deny ourselves and reject ourselves. We are never good enough or right enough or clean enough or healthy enough. According to all those beliefs we have, there's always something the judge can never accept or forgive. Can y'all hear me? It's a lot of noise. That is why we reject our own humanity. That is why we never deserve to be happy. That is why we are searching for someone who abuses us, someone who will punish us. We have a very high level of self-abuse because of that image of perfection. When we reject ourselves and judge ourselves and find ourselves guilty and punish ourselves so much, it looks like there is no love. It looks like there is only punishment, only suffering, only judgment in the world. Hell has many different levels. Some people are very deep in hell and other people are hardly in hell. But still, they are in hell. There are very abusive relationships in hell and relationships with hardly any abuse. There are very abusive relationships in hell and relationships with hardly any abuse. You are no longer a child, and if you have an abusive relationship, it is because you accept that abuse, because you believe you deserve it. You have a limit. You have a limit to the amount of abuse you will accept, but no one in the world abuses you more than you abuse yourself. The limit of your self-abuse is the limit you will tolerate from other people. If someone abuses you more than you abuse yourself, you will walk away. You will run. You will escape. But if someone abuses you a little less than you abuse yourself, perhaps you stay longer. You still deserve that abuse. Usually in the normal relationship in hell, it's about payment for an injustice. It's about getting even. I abuse you the way you need to be abused, and you abuse me the way I need to be abused. We have a good equilibrium. It works. Of course, energy attracts the same kind of energy, the same vibration. If someone comes to you and says, "Oh, I'm so abused," and you ask, "Well, why do you stay there?" He doesn't even know why. The truth is, he needs that abuse because that is the way he punishes himself. Life brings you to exactly what you need. There is perfect justice in hell. There is nothing like blame. We can even say that our suffering is a gift. If you just open your eyes and see what is around you, it's exactly what you need to clean. It is exactly what you need to clean your poison, to heal your wounds, to accept yourself, and get out of hell. And that is chapter 2. Ooh, my eyes. Anyway, chapter 3 is the man who didn't believe in love. Ooh, that's gonna be a juicy one. I feel tense because when I'm reading and I'm all tense and like shy because I'm still like, warming up to reading to y'all. I feel like my shoulders are going up, but that's what my yoga is about. That's what I'm gonna stretch. But the next chapter 3 is the man who didn't believe in love, which can also mean like the woman who didn't believe in love, because it's all the same. Like there's women who act like men sometimes, and there's men that act like women sometimes, because sometimes it's not about the gender. Sometimes people just do wrong things. Although I do believe in gender roles, but that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about men are capable of hurting people just like women are capable of hurting people. But anyway, that was chapter 2. Thank you.